Hello YouTube fans, it's Dr. Matthew Johnson. It is Saturday, November the 14th, 2020, 12 noon. Cynthia is inside the building getting her massage, and I'll be following up with my massage in an hour. Awesome way to spend a Saturday. And then a nice little meal afterwards, and then go home and watch the Ducks. Ranked number 10 in the nation now, started 15, working their way up the food chain. Go Ducks. So anyway, I'm shooting this short video because, oops, I forgot something. I had a friend remind me yesterday, Matt, Zorth didn't look into the future and tell you 5 things accurately. He actually looked into the future and told you 6 things accurately. And I'm like, what? Refresh my memory. And so she shared it with me. I was like, oh, you're right. Silly me. So here's number 6. Most of you are aware of this. Some of you aren't, but this past summer of 2020, we were getting ready to go on our annual vacation to the lake house in Montana. And so we had the truck all packed up, and Cynthia and Grady and Cameron was still inside the house, and I was securing the last little part of the load. And then Zorth did a mind speak with me and said there is going to be something wrong with the wheel during our trip. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that on the trip. So I go, are we going to be okay? And he goes, yes, you'll be okay. But I would pray to God for safety before you leave. Okay. So Cynthia and the boys climb in the truck, and they're waiting for me to turn it on. And I look at them, and I don't tell them what Zorth told me. I don't want them worrying the whole trip. I just said, let's bow for prayer. Let's ask God for safety. So they bowed their heads, and I prayed, just like Zorth asked me to. Pray to God and ask for safety on the trip. So I prayed to God and on behalf of all of us, and asked for safety on the trip. So then we drove, and we drove, and we drove. It's over probably about a 12-hour trip when you include potty stops and restaurants and stuff. So anyway, half a mile away from the lake house, half a mile, all of a sudden the truck starts bum, 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 bum. And then I kind of lose the steering, and I stop the truck, get out, look, and the tie rod for my front left tire came loose. What? Well, hitting the rewind button and backing it up. Before this trip, I had taken the truck into Les Schwab to, get tires checked and make sure everything's okay and ready to make a long trip safely to Montana with my family. And so to make a long story short, it turns out that the gentleman who was working on my truck, getting it ready for a safe trip to Montana, got distracted by one of his co-workers and went to help him out, and then came back and forgot to put the nut and the pin on to secure the tie rod to the wheel. So we drove the whole bloody trip without a secure tie rod, without a nut, without a pin. And that's why Zorth said, pray to God for safety when you travel. And just so you understand, when you're driving through Washington and then northern Idaho and then Montana, there's a lot of hills, a lot of mountains, and you go down curves on these mountains, and you go down more curves on these mountains, and you're next to big semi-trucks and other vehicles. And you're going these speed limits anywhere between 65 and 90 miles an hour. And we made that whole trip until the half mile before the lake house, before the tie rod and the wheel disconnected, and then we had to nurse it into the driveway the last, half mile. Which was, I might add, a good time for that to disconnect to let us know we had a problem. Not in the middle of our trip going to Montana, and not in the middle of our trip returning home to Washington. So, it was perfect. But my friend reminded me, Matt, Zorth saw into the future and saw that there was going to be a problem with your wheel, and Zorth asked you to pray to God for safety on that trip. You can't forget to share that with other people. So, thank you for the reminder, and there you have it. I have shared that with you. Some of you are, yeah, that's right, Matt did tell us about that. Others of you are going to go, that's the first time I ever heard this. But the point is, the last two videos have been about, in the end, Trump wins, because the Janu Council 12 and Zorth have been adamant about me, their Janu ambassador, the number 13, inform everybody else that they can see into the future in multiple timelines, and in the majority of the timelines, Trump wins. In the end, Trump wins. And they keep telling me every day, in the end, Trump wins. In the end, Trump wins. And then, you read the news, I read the news, and you have the slanted liberal media, and you have Joe Biden acting like, he's been elected and he's transitioning the government. He hasn't been elected. Nothing's official, and the media doesn't call it. But it discourages people, sometimes me, and then the Janu go, Trump wins in the end, In the end, Trump wins. In the end, Trump wins. So, not 5 times, but 6 times, Zorth has looked into the future and has told me, warned me, whatever, and it has been 100% accurate. Not 1 out of 6 times accurate, not 2 out of 6 times accurate, not 3 out of 6 times accurate, not 4, not 5 times out of 6 accurate, but 6 times out of 6 accurate. So now, in the end, this is going to be number 7 times accurate, because in the end, Trump wins.